Hey guys, good morning from the cornfield. I'm harvesting some delicious shishito and nata and Jimmy Nardello peppers for today's dinner. I wanted to bring you along today because we're about to do something new with you. We are going to be planting Cryptomeria Globosa Nana up in the front. So I thought I would just bring you along as I walk through the garden. We can say hello to the boys and then we'll walk up front and see how far along Farmer John is in getting ready to plant this wonderful shrub that we have to show you today. Mr. Buddy, there's Mr. Buddy hanging around in the morning air. Mr. Buddy, what does Rockin' Robin say? Nothing? No chirp, chirp, chirps? Mr. Buddy loves Robin, so he chirps. He chirps frequently. Hey, Ock, you gonna say hello? And there's Allie. Just the boys hanging around in the early morning sunshine. All right, we're gonna go get to work and plant some shrubs. Mr. Buddy, what's Rockin' Robin say? Hey, Farmer John, what you doing? Emptying the wheelbarrow?
Yep.
Hey, yeah, you guys, we had to dump out a bunch of evergreen limbs from the neighbor's infestation of bagworms. We'll attach that video for you if you haven't seen it. There's Farmer John. So today, here's what we're going to be planting. Cryptomeria Globosa Nana. What a beautiful shrub this is. Now we have a little bit of a story as to why we are planting this in August, which is not something that I really like to do because I like to plant things either in the spring or in the fall. But let me get a closer look at the tag for you so you can identify it. Here we go. Globe Cryptomeria or Globosa Nana, Cryptomeria japonica. This is a beautiful, wonderful shrub. Highly ornamental. It does stay a dome shape. This particular one here is a 3-gallon pot, and it was, I think, $39 or $40, and we had 40% off at the nursery we used. And you can see that it grows to 4 feet high by 4 feet wide, and it likes full sun. Hardy to zone 5 to 7. We are in zone 7A. Spacing 4 feet apart. Moderate moisture, fertilizer, and pruning. We go over all of that here. So we are going to give this a little bit of holly tone today, even though it says it likes to be fertilized in the early spring before new growth begins, but we like to give everything a little bit of a boost. So we're going to follow the instructions, which we already know how to do, which is dig a hole twice as wide, but not any deeper than the root ball. We want to leave a little bit of the crown above so it doesn't drown. Now here's the thing with Cryptomeria globosa. We found this out the hard way. This is our first year growing this shrub, and I've been admiring it for many, many years. One did really well and one drowned. So let's take you over and get a closer look at that. Now full sun usually is more than 6 hours in a day, and this does not get morning sun in the summertime because of the shade from all of our beautiful trees, but it does get full sun from after like 10 o'clock until around 8 p.m. or when the sun sets. Now something that this plant is suffering from right now, you can see at the tips, and I'm a little scared that we're going to lose this one too. I'll show you how bad this gets. This is when Cryptomeria has too much water. Now we've had unprecedented rains here, and it's been like monsoons. Just Thursday we had 5 inches of rain within an hour. So these tips turning brown like this are not burning. It is not dry. It is too much water, according to the expert at the nursery. But look how beautiful the structure of this plant is. It almost feels like an artificial Christmas tree. It's very, very tight, almost rubbery leaf structure. It's so pretty. It's deer tolerant. The deer don't go near it, actually. The rabbits don't bother with it. You can use it as a specimen plant, as we have done here at the base of our lamps. We have one on each side, or you can plant them 4 feet apart to create a little bit of a hedge, which would be very, very impressive. Now, over here is what happens. This plant started out like that one did over there, where just the tips started turning brown, and then this happened. And I said, okay, in all of my oblivion, I said, this shrub needs a drink. So I kept watering it twice a week, and we ended up with this. Now I thought that this would be from again, sun scorch or maybe even some kind of a blight, but the experts are telling me that this just got too much water and it didn't like it. Now we're hoping that this shrub is not dead. I'm not going to give up on it yet, but we are going to replant a new one. So we're going to show you today what happens when this comes out of its hole, and then we'll plant the new one for you. All right, here comes Farmer John with our 3-gallon pot. We are actually lucky that we found this still in the nurseries here in this area of New Jersey. Right about August, they start putting things on sale, and I think they had 6 left, so we were fortunate enough to get one. Now, what's funny about this is it's almost like this one has a little tiny bit of a different leaf structure. Even though it is the same specimen, it's grown from a different nursery. Hopefully it's the same plant. Hopefully one, I could have sworn the other ones that we planted said that they were 3 feet. Can you remember? 3 by 3?
I can't, no.
But I already went over that label with everyone. But when we plant this, you guys, we are going to be adding some peat moss in here now. Peat moss is good to break down clay. It is good to balance moisture. And we don't really know what we're going to see when we take this out, but we're probably, if it's too soggy in there, too much peat moss can help inhibit sogginess. So you don't want to have too much peat moss, but the good thing about peat moss is it breaks clay, and it also, turning upside down, it also creates an aeration balance in the proper amount, so you don't want to have too much peat moss. Keep that in mind. So now Farmer John is just gently removing the mulch around it, because we want to see what's going to happen with this. Like I said, we're not going to give up on it yet. We're going to take it out carefully, so we're not just going to rip it out like trash. We're going to get a good idea of what's happening with that root structure so that we can decide what's the problem here before we put the new one in. Another almost $40 investment. We don't want to just keep having disposable $40 investments. We want these shrubs to live for a long time. So we're going to lift it out gently and then prepare the area for the new one. What a shame though, as we start to get around the root ball, we can hear that the roots did spread. So we are breaking through some roots to get it out. So this is probably going to go into shock, but we've already kissed it goodbye basically, but we believe in giving everything a chance. So we were concerned that it was root bound for a moment, but now we think that it was probably just root rot. Hopefully it's as simple as it getting too much water and not having blight or a fungus. It definitely took root. All right, now we're going to get a closer look at what happened here. Does it feel it looks a little wet, huh?
But
hard
you know
to
what,
say.
all that rain that came down.
Yeah, we had buckets of monsoonal rain. It was insane. Look how beautiful she is though. Oh, what a shame.
You can see its roots were definitely going out. It was definitely
spreading.
Yeah.
So all right, so we don't really know what happened. This could have been something that happened before we even put it in the ground, and it could have been destined for this. So all we can do is try harder next time. So basically, in trying to inspect the root ball of this, we think it's a combination of things. It did have a really good root structure going, but it feels like it's not soggy. It is moist, but it's very compacted. So it could be root bound. There could be a little bit of root rot in there. I mean, we just don't know. I mean, this, if you look up Cryptomeria blight, it looks like this. Overwatering looks like this. Yet it's all dried out at the tip. I don't really know. I am totally perplexed. I'm not just, going to assume that it's one thing. Now the other one, like I said, is, it's pretty healthy. But it is showing some browning tips. Now, they do change color a little bit in the fall. They do get a little bit of a bronzing to them. They're really very, very beautiful. But I don't know. All we can do is keep our fingers crossed here, you guys. Now, as we reopen this hole, we're going to get any extra roots out. We're going to clear it out real good. We're going to give this plant every opportunity to spread its roots properly, not get root bound, make sure it can reach nutrients and that it's not sitting in water, which it was not. This was not soggy. We do have a large maple tree here, but there's no roots over here. We were very, very careful, so this is a real mystery. So we're actually in our front garden as I wait for Farmer John to come back with some fresh soil for this. Now, I have a feeling a few of our regulars are going to say, Lee, is this the front? Yes, it is the front. It is the front. If you want to see a full-on front yard garden tour and you want to know what happened here, please comment below. I need to know you guys are watching. Lots of changes up here in the front of our property. Right, so we just, we're working on our hole. We had to make it a little bit deeper because this plant has a different root structure than the first one did. So again, you want to plant your shrub so that the most important thing is that your hole is twice as wide and as deep. Some shrubs like this need to make sure that their crown, or where the shrub flares out at its root ball, so you don't want that crown under any water. So Farmer John's going to take that out of the pot now because the lip of the pot is a little bit higher than the soil line. So if they don't come out easily, sometimes you have to give it a little squeeze or a little roll. We like to stick our fingers in through the aeration holes at the bottom of the pot to help lift it out if needed. But the last thing you want to do is, squeeze it too hard or crush it, because the root ball is very, very fragile. Now, this has nice roots on it, but it's not root bound.
That's correct.
At all. So she actually looks pretty healthy and very moist. All right, so you can see we're trying to line it up where it's not going to be too high or too low, and because we're planting this on a slope, we're going to have to add soil to the one side. But I think that might be good enough. Guys, we're going to add some Hollytone. We keep a little 5-ounce yogurt cup here just so we know how much we're planting. So we're looking at around 3 ounces of Hollytone that we're going to be putting into this. So we like to keep a cup especially for that. And we're just going to put it around the base of the plant. We're not going to do too much because we will be refertilizing in a few weeks. So we have to remember to not give this too heavy of a dose of fertilizer again for the fall. Normally this is a spring feeding and a fall feeding, but because it's newly established, we're going off schedule here. But we are not those people that over fertilize things. It's just not good. Hollytone is a really good organic product. It is espoma, which is widely used with a lot of the gardeners on YouTube, but you still have to be careful because it can just overfeed. Hollytone is good. You can see it's used for azaleas, even though they do have azalea tone, evergreen, hydrangeas. You can use it on all sorts of stuff. We like to specifically use this on evergreen shrubs. So we took the native soil that was in this hole, which was already mixed. It was not fully native, it was amended soil from the springtime. This incident's happening less than 90 days after planting the original shrub. So that was heavily amended with good organic soil. It had compost, so we just removed it. It also had native soil mixed in, but now we're using some, we just have a bag of the Miracle Grow, which is not my favorite stuff. This is the raised bed and in-ground organic soil that we're mixing into what we already had here. Again, we like to use a little peat moss, a little soil. We like to get good drainage. We put in our Hollytone. The last thing that you want to do is put in a soil that retains too much moisture for this, though, because Cryptomeria Globosa Nana does not like wet conditions. It can get root rot. Obviously, you saw what happened with the browning. Now, as Farmer John mixes this up, I can't tell you any ratios, you guys. We don't do things that way. There are some people who get really upset about that. This is something that you just learn how to do. And you're going to make mistakes. We make mistakes. We didn't know what this shrub really wanted. But we're going to make sure that it has a good mix of everything. We've got to give it a good chance to have a good fresh start here.
You got to work on your soil because our soil is very much clay.
Yes, we do. We have clay soil, which is not good for stuff like this because clay soil will just hold the moisture. It packs it in like wet cement sitting around the root ball, and it gets root rot or it just can't uptake nutrients. So nice, loose, aerated soil will be going back into this hole. Now something again that we're doing is, because we're on a slope here, we had to make sure that this was not planted too deep or too high. If it's too high, the crown of the plant where it flares out will get too much exposure and it will dry out too soon. So you don't want it peeking out like that, but you also don't want that flare at the crown to be buried, because it can't breathe properly. So we have to find a happy medium here because of the slope. And remember, if you have something where one side of a plant is on a slope but the other side meets level like we have here, which is basically a raised bed, you can always put rocks around the steep side of it just to give it some level if you have to. Some nice boulders will hold a nice level area of soil. So after we get this soil packed in here and we're confident that the soil meets the crown and the flare properly, we'll give it a little bit of a drink, and then we'll give it some fresh mulch. All right, guys, so that's really it. Farmer John's just finishing this off now. You can see that she looks good and healthy in there. If you're considering a Cryptomeria Globosa Nana, you know, these are just some things that you should keep in mind about how to plant it, where to plant it, make sure it gets at least 6 hours of sun. You can see that this specimen here was a 3-gallon pot also. It grew substantially in 90 days. Really beautiful shrub. So this guy here should catch up by the end of the season here before it goes dormant. So anyway, you guys, if you have any questions, please post them below. We get back to everybody. This is a beautiful little shrub to consider. If you have not subscribed to our channel, we hope that you will subscribe, and please hit the notification bell. We like to bring a variety of content, from planting shrubs to growing vegetables, planting flowers, installing amazing light fixtures. If you haven't seen that video, we will attach it below for you. We do product reviews, and today we just decided to bring you along for planting a Cryptomeria. So anyway, you guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.